Alright, a new stream, a new recording, and this is where we left off in the last episode. You lock the apartment behind you and head over to Sophie's apartment. You did promise to call on her, might as well not keep the lady waiting, and hey, what else are you gonna do? I hope that I can remember my accents. Call M, she's probably worried, at least she will be once she actually tries to give you a call, which might not happen for a few more weeks. Months if she's busy doing press for her new piece. You could try to track down your sire, if the sheriff hasn't done that already. After all, he did buy your painting. There has to be a money trail, right? But even if so, what would you say to him? These thoughts put you in a weird mood. It's a strange sensation to walk the crowded streets, same as you have so many times before, but feeling so disconnected. All these people, you're not one of them. Not anymore. You're a vampire, kindred, and you need to carve your own path in this strange new existence, one way or another. Appropriately enough, you arrive at Sophie's building, just as that thought crosses your mind. A quick word with the security guard and you're let into the elevator. Apparently, Miss Langley is expecting you. Of course she is. You knock and wait, patiently, as the footsteps on the other side grow closer. Finally, the door opens and Gregory, Sophie's driver, invites you in. You find the lady herself sitting by the window, silhouetted against the city's midnight glow. She stares out, motionless, like a marble statue. Would he be interested? He'd probably be, am I interrupting? Because he'd be worried, because he's a warrior, and he's, yeah. Hey, am I interrupting something? She doesn't react immediately, but seems to snap out of some meditative state, and looks at you with strangely bleary eyes. Yes, you are, but that's alright. I've been meaning to ask you something. I think that's the voice I was using. When you look out at this city, when you see the lights, hear the hum, smell the rain on the pavement, what do you think about? You gaze out. You thought the city couldn't surprise you anymore. You've lived here all your life, after all. But tonight, something feels different. You realize, in this moment, that you have truly changed. Yes, you know what Sophie means. The way she gazed out that window and saw the truth beyond. You do the same. The view is fascinating, each detail absorbing every angle a new experience. The familiar made sublime. When you turn to Sophie again, she smiles at you knowingly. Ah, so you understand. I had my doubts, but perhaps we are of shared lineage after all. You see, the blood that flows within me is that of Clan Toreador. There are 13 such bloodlines among us kindred, though that number has been contested in the past, and these nights, it seems that nothing's certain anymore. The clans have gone by many epithets over the years, but the names used these nights have their roots in medieval times, the original Inquisition, if you can believe. They used these to categorize us, describe our inherent differences. In time, we adopted them ourselves. Each clan has a uniqueness about it, inescapable, originating from an ancient progenitor carried from sire to child. For the Toreador, the gift lies in a sensitivity of sorts. We are uniquely attuned to beauty and ugliness both. We can see either where most cannot. A blessing on most nights, occasionally a curse. The sheriff is of my clan as well, although you'd be hard-pressed to see him as such. Poor Kadir. It breaks my heart to see him in this state. Still, there is a beauty to it as well. Nothing like a good fall from grace. Try as she might to act playfully, you can tell she genuinely cares. She lets her gaze wander for a brief moment, but is quick to regain her composure. Then there are the Ventru, known for their pride and a proclivity to rule over others. The prince represents that clan, as is quite common in our society around the globe. Where the Bloods think themselves rulers, the Bruja like to see themselves as preeminent revolutionaries. They call for a universal rebellion while being slaves to their own temper. We don't discuss the rabble much anymore, not after they've largely broken off with the Camarilla. To think they were philosophers once, long ago. I hope to tell you more about some of the other bloodlines tonight. I think he'd probably be curious about himself again. Even though she said, you might be Toreador, he's like, oh, what's my clan? What's my clan? Instead of, like, other people or, like, sticking together, etc. Do you know what my clan is? No, I can only guess it, based on certain aspects of your behavior and tastes. You will need to come to your own conclusion and seek validation from your clanmates, if you require such a thing. As you will no doubt learn, some kindred fit these stereotypes more than others. The blood is hard to deny, though there are certainly those who try. Yeah, Kadir being Toreador is like, oh, really? Okay. I guess the speed part of it, yes, but that is perhaps a subject for another time. I invited you here for a reason. There is something I wanted to speak to you about. It is customary in our society, especially among younger kindred, to organize into coteries. Sometimes these are called by the prince themselves or mandated by a fledgling sire. In our case, you may treat it as more of a strong recommendation. I want you to seek out companions, not only because you need to learn more about our society, but also because it is useful. True friendships are rare among kindred, but having allies, even temporary ones, is something of a necessity these nights. We might be selfish creatures, but we are drawn to each other nonetheless. Where should I look for allies? Actually, how interested in her do you think he is? I kind of swing between these two on what he might go for. I think he'd still be a little more concerned about himself, and getting help, especially. Yeah, getting help especially. Any suggestions where I should start looking? I was just about to get to that. She puts on a mysterious smile. I spent some of my precious time last night asking around, pondering potential kindred for you to meet. Came up with a short list of contacts. I hope you'll appreciate the gesture. Forging a partnership with them might offer perspectives and viewpoints that I cannot provide. Lenses through which to view our kind. They are all members of the Camarilla, of course, more or less. Probably okay, who are they? I don't think he'd be like cheeky, and that is kind of challenging her. I don't think he's in a position where he wants to challenge her. Alright then, let's hear it. Who's on the list? Eager to learn about them, I see. Good. I'm glad. So, let us start with the Tremere. They are a powerful clan, disliked by many, but feared and respected by many more. They have been an important pillar of the Camarilla since the very beginning. They are blood sorcerers. Blood sorcerers? You could swear you once saw them play at the Apollo. Probably not the same blood sorcerers, though. Sophie snickers. Oh, Charles, don't be caught with that look on your face when you meet a warlock in person. They really are adept at using vitae, their own, as well as others, to unique and potent effects. Since they are quite rigid in their hierarchy, the kindred I had in mind for you might need some persuading. His name is Agathon. From what I hear, he is quite the scholar, very ambitious. The child of a noted Tremere here in New York. Eiling, I don't know how to pronounce that name, so please correct me if you can, guys. I'm going to say Eiling for now. Sturbridge. Spend enough time with Agathon and I'm sure you'll run into her sooner or later. Oh, are we interested in meeting? He probably wouldn't want to imply that he wants to meet important people, because she's supposed to be important, so he'd be like, yes, that's what I'm thinking, but I'm not going to say that, so blood magic. This whole blood magic thing sounds intriguing. Oh yes, fascinating. It is also a well-kept secret of the Tremere. Don't expect them to share it right away. Some things have to be earned. Anyway, if you wish to contact the young Tremere, I hear you can usually find him in a New Age bookstore out on Broadway. The Tremere have one of their workshops there. Gregory will give you the details. Yeah, Agathon being a gateway to important people, but it doesn't sound like something he'd say to her because, you know, like he's already aware that she's pretty. She wants to feel important and she's very vain. And he wouldn't be like, oh, I can meet someone important, because he's worried that he'd piss her off saying that, like implying that she's not important. Now, this next recommendation comes with a bit of a caveat. As you recall me saying, most bloodlines have unique features that might not be obvious at first glance. Well, there is one clan whose members wear their curse on their sleeve. Oh, so the Nosferatu. The Nosferatu. Wait, Nosferatu? As in the German expressionist classic? No way. No wonder they make their havens in sewers, abandoned buildings and such. Their appearance is hideous and obviously unnatural. Had they walked the streets like any other kindred, the kind would have learned of our existence long ago. Did she just shudder? It's hard to tell with her usual complexion, but you could swear her skin suddenly took on an even more sickly colour. The one I have in mind isn't as big an eyesore as the worst of them, but he is no Adonis either. Still, he has some talents and connections that you might find useful. His name is D'Angelo, and he has an office, for lack of a better term, in the otherwise abandoned grain terminal in Red Hook. Right next to one of those Swedish stores. The name escapes me, the one with the awful furniture. What, IKEA? A Swedish furniture store? You mean IKEA? Yes, that's... I thought they were deliberately avoiding the IKEA as like an advertising thing. But then they're just like, what, IKEA? You talking about IKEA? Yeah, IKEA. Yes, that's it. My mind struggles to retain things that are aesthetically displeasing. D'Angelo does odd jobs for Kadir, digging up dirt, locating kindred who would prefer to remain hidden, the kind of work the Nosferatu are best at. He's on a case right now, something to do with Kine murders, I think. After your initial brush with our dear sheriff, I think it would be wise to show some goodwill towards his agenda. Assisting D'Angelo with his investigation might be just the thing. She takes a brief pause to look out the window again. Now come the two more exotic proposals. Exotic, as if the blood mage and vampire detective were business as usual. You may have heard about the Gangrel before. They are a wild clan in touch with their beast in a way others might not dare to attempt. They mostly keep out of big cities, but there are exceptions. Yes, exotic, not erotic. Nominally, they haven't been part of the Camarilla for over 2 decades. But the one kindred I would like you to meet has strong, shall we say, familial ties to the sect. Her name is Tamika. Her sire, Jezebel, was instrumental during the Battle of New York back in 1999. The very same battle that cemented the city as a Camarilla domain. Sadly, her achievements have gone largely unrecognized. Tamika and a number of her siblings still reside in the domain they were awarded after the battle, Prospect Park. Jezebel herself left the city some years ago, fed up with being underappreciated. Should I contact non-Camarilla clans? Worried about getting in trouble, definitely. I got the impression contacting vampires who aren't in the Camarilla was frowned upon. But you're saying these Gangrel aren't a part of the sect anymore? How does that work? It's not as clear-cut. The Gangrel as a whole have sworn off the Camarilla, but individual kindred of that clan can still hold our ideals. Jezebel was one of them, before she became jaded. Besides, their domain in Prospect Park has been upheld by Prince Panhard for all these years, has it not? We consider them members of the sect, and they have, for the most part, kept to themselves. Perhaps it will take a young kindred, such as yourself, to make them realize where their loyalties lie. So you see, seeking out Tamika could prove quite educational if nothing else. And who knows, perhaps you will find her temperament to be a welcome change of pace. But, speaking of a change of pace, I have one last suggestion for you, though it's one I don't make lightly. The kindred who calls herself Hope. Let me take a guess here. The lead up to this implies she's a Malkavian, because Malkavians are the one everyone is hesitant about. Are we taking bets? I got the Nosferatu. She's a Malkavian. They are a uniquely cursed clan. For centuries, we considered them mad, insane, unhinged. But those of us who spend enough time with them come to understand the truth. I mean, they couldn't have gotten away with not putting a Malkavian in. I just hope they do the Malkavian well, because it's hard to do Malkavian well. It is no sickness, but a unique perception of the world that has them appear to us as unstable. And that perception can prove to be very valuable. Having a Malkavian as your companion might be taxing on the nerves and a true test of patience at times, but their insight and intuition are unrivaled among the kindred. As for Hope specifically, She is said to be a recluse, but I have it on good authority that she can currently be found in an internet cafe, I believe it's called, in Lower Manhattan. Gregory has the address. Where did you learn about Hope? Where did you learn about her exactly? One of my colleagues told me about her. He considers her uniquely talented and tapped into the current fads among kind. Not something I am personally interested in, as I'm sure you know by now. I take his word for it at any rate. Well, I believe that's all of them. I still have a few social calls to make tonight, so I'll leave you to it. Use tonight and tomorrow night to arrange some cordial visits of your own. I will send Gregory for you as soon as I have further need of your services. Oh, that reminds me. You'll need a car. Join us downstairs, won't you? She smiles once more and turns to her driver. He helps her put on her coat, and the three of you leave Sophie's apartment. Sophie points to one of the cars near the building as Gregory hands you the keys. It's a rather inconspicuous compact car, a decent looking, if not luxurious, ride. Stay safe, Daedalis. This is your first night alone. Don't let it be your last. As they drive away, you find yourself with more freedom than you've had for the past few nights. A blessing or a burden. Time will tell. With a list of addresses in your hand, you consider your next move. Oh, okay, cool. So we get to choose who we go to see. You need to rest. Okay, so that's the sun, that's the moon. So I'm guessing when we rest... Oh, okay, never mind. You notice something strange by the front door of your haven. There's a letter slipped under the door in a cream-coloured old-fashioned envelope. There's no name on it, but you know it's meant for you. Opening the letter, it's clear it's been sent by someone incredibly old-fashioned, rich, or a fan of classic stationery. No normal person sends letters like this. Did you accidentally skip a scene? What did I skip? I needed to rest. I couldn't do anything. What? You're making me paranoid now. The note is small and terse, written in elegant, delicate handwriting. You're cordially invited to a rendezvous at the Cathedral of St. John the Divine. I'll be waiting to make your acquaintance tomorrow night. Look for me closer to God. Yeah, I checked, and it said you have to rest. There's no other information. It looks like you have a mysterious invitation for the following night. Yeah, because the moon was, like, just about to come daybreak. Okay, so we've got Jezebel's Childer, a gangrel. We've got the D'Angelo, the Nosferatu. Looks like a Nosferatu. We've got Hope, the Malkavian. We've got Faith and Myth. Someone at St. John the Divine. And then the Tremere. Now, my tendency for this character would be the Tremere and the Malkavian. Because Nosferatu are ugly and all that kind of thing, and then the gangrel, they don't really, you know, they're fairly different. So we could just ignore, because like someone said, we don't have that much time to go down. We don't have the time to go down everything and do everything, so we're gonna have to let things slide by the wayside. At the same time, we should check out everything, I think. So I think what we'll probably do is check out all of these one by one going upwards, and then probably focus on Hope and Agathon. So we'll go check out Tamika. You make your way through the Grand Army Plaza, passing the soldiers and sailors memorial arch. You can't help but feel a tinge of nostalgia as you picture the place as you've seen it countless times, in broad daylight, teeming with life. You quickly get over it and pass through the northwest gate into Prospect Park. The park is its usual maze of unkempt foliage and dimly lit alleys. Silence hangs in the air, as it would at this time of night, and there doesn't appear to be any sign of kindred presence. You start to suspect Langley's sources fed her a bunch of bullshit, but you're not willing to give up just yet. You take a deep breath, your nostrils fill with the scent of dead leaves and something else. A faint whiff of copper. Too subtle for a human to notice, but your newfound kindred intuition tells you that you're in the right spot. Yeah, these are Tamika's hunting grounds, alright. It's more than a hunch, you can feel it in your veins. Now it's only a matter of finding her, unless, of course, she finds you first. As you ponder your options, you hear footsteps coming from behind a line of trees. Quick, but evenly paced. Most likely a late-night jogger. No vampire would take kindly to you feeding in their domain, but then again, perhaps you could kill two birds with one stone. We're not looking to make enemies. Auspex isn't very obvious. It's not like celerity or potence or whatever, so we could use Auspex without like standing out too much. I don't really want to. We're not hungry for a star, and secondly, we don't want to eat on someone else's domain, especially when we don't know them. So I'm going to go with Auspex. The world opens up around you like a blood-scented flower. A myriad of smells and sounds pound your senses like a battering ram. You focus, trying to drown out the noise and isolate any trace of your quarry. And there it is. A rustling of leaves no farther than 100 yards to the south. Too big for an animal, too quiet and meticulous for a human. You follow the sound, careful to not to make a spectacle of yourself. Even at this heightened state, tracking one of the outcasts seems like a tricky matter. From what you can tell about them, the hunter is never more than a few steps from becoming the hunted. All of a sudden, the rustling stops. The world goes eerily silent. By the time you realize something is wrong, it's already too late. Hunter hunted. In a split second, the air by the side of your head swells like a vortex. Driven by sheer instinct, you lean back just as five finger-shaped razors cut through the darkness, missing your face by an inch. A clawed shadow jumps back a few paces, preparing to correct its mistake. You catch a glimpse of the assailant. Looks pretty animalistic, alright, but he's not the one you're looking for. For starters, it's a he. Just as he's about to lunge at you, a snarl resounds from the bushes nearby, stopping your foe in their tracks. Out of the shadows emerges a young woman, baring her teeth ever so slightly. She walks over calmly, her eyes fixed on your assailant. Her presence is enough to make him reconsider attacking you, but not to withdraw completely. He glances over to her, puffing up his chest. "Stay out of this, Tam. I smelled him first." Tam, how about that? She raises an eyebrow but remains silent. Her compatriot turns back towards you. "You shouldn't have come here, pretty boy. I'm going to fuck you up so bad you'll be wearing your tongue as a fucking necktie." Tamika looks at you expectantly. "Easy there, big shot. You made your point, okay? Confirmed badass, not looking for a fight." Tamika tilts her head in a way that's barely noticeable, and yet strangely expressive. She seems disappointed. The man loosens up, his lips twisting into a wry smile. Clearly, you just gave him the confidence boost he needed. Figures. You got that look about you. All style, no substance. Didn't even have to smell you. I know a sissy when I see one. Well, guess what? You ain't getting off that easy, chicken shit. A fierce growl echoes across the alley, stopping the savage in his tracks. Tamika walks over to her comrade, her fangs glistening in the dim lamplight. She puts her hand on the side of his head, caressing his hair and tugging at his ear as if she was scolding a puppy. She leans over and speaks in a voice that's firm, yet oddly affectionate. It's okay, Declan. I'll handle it from here. The male gangrel looks at her with a mix of timidity and resentment. Then he turns back towards you. Fine. They're not worth it anyway. Having said his piece, Raoul retreats into the shadows, although if you were to guess, he's likely to stay within earshot. With her companion gone, Tamika turns to you once more. What do you want? Straight to the point, I like that. I'm not sure he'd say that. Definitely wouldn't be aggressive. I could use your help. Short story, I'm new here, and I'm looking for a chance to leave my mark. Maybe shake things up a bit in the process. I could use your help. Why me? Why not? An inkling of a smile creeps across her lips. Let's just get one thing straight. If you're looking for a hired gun... I've got a cough. Oh, one sec. I mean, I'm not going to do like a Jamaican accent or anything, because that would be fairly, you know... Let's just get one thing straight, man. If you're looking for a hired gun, I'm not the type. You know, it's, not hiring. I'm not hiring you. I'm offering you my help, should you ever need it. And in time, perhaps also my friendship. Do I strike you as someone who needs a friend? I wonder how insightful he... I think he'd be reasonably insightful as to people. Especially people who are kind of like lonely and shit, because that's how he was. You strike me as someone looking for a way out of this park, for starters. Is that why you're here? To break me out? Are you my ticket out of here? You can leave with or without me. Look, I'm not stupid. I know you can leave any time, with or without me. I'm just asking for a couple of nights of your time. So what's it going to be? For a brief moment, she stands there motionless, looking straight into your eyes, as if trying to size you up. Finally, she looks away. It looks like she's come to a decision. Just so that we're clear, I don't trust you. I have no reason to. Frankly, you sound more lost than I am. Still, there's something about you. Most kindred who are this pretty tend to hide rot underneath, but I don't smell it on you. So I'll give you a chance to prove yourself. I have some outstanding business to take care of. I'll let you know once that's done. Meet me here, and we'll see what you're really made of. And with that, Tamika disappears into the night. That went pretty well, all things considered. Okay, so... just... yeah, okay, so... okay, so it looks like we get... that was one. And it went halfway, so I guess we get 2 things a night. So, next, we'll have to do... we'll have to do D'Angelo, and then these two, and maybe we'll get to that. I don't know. Maybe we'll ignore that. We'll see. As you make your way down Clinton Street, the incessant hum of traffic gives way to the ominous silence of the waterfront. You stop to take in the familiar bouquet of the Hudson, made all the more potent by your recently sharpened senses. Across the basin, the Red Hook grain terminal rears its rusty frame. Once a bustling industrial area, now a sleeping giant splayed out on the riverbank. Forgotten, abandoned. Conveniently so, especially for one of the hidden. Keeping to the shadows, you sneak closer to the dilapidated complex, making your way past hole-ridden silos and wobbly chain-link fences. By the time you reach the entrance to the main building, you can almost feel the rust particles making themselves cozy at the back of your throat. Not getting your hopes up, you give this door a slight nudge. To your surprise, it gives almost instantly. Looks like someone's been using it recently. Once inside, you find yourself in a large empty hall. Looking around you, you can almost picture it back in its heyday, stacked to the rafters with heavy machinery. You notice a set of stairs leading up to a mezzanine, most likely an office space, and then you see it, a faint light coming from one of the upper rooms. Looks like you're in luck. Quietly, with bated breath, you climb the steps and approach the dimly lit room. The door creaks open, revealing what looks like an old-timey detective's office, complete with crooked window blinds, an overflowing ashtray, and paper scattered across a wooden desk. Suddenly, it hits you, that nagging feeling. This is all too convenient, too inviting. Before you can react, the trap is already sprung. A plume of cigar smoke wafts over your shoulder. The barrel of a gun rubs against your spine. A raspy voice whispers in your ear. Really raspy voice for my throat. Okay, let me guess. Took a wrong turn at the third silo. We will attempt to talk him down. Presence doesn't seem like the right choice here, and rushing him seems like a really bad choice, especially for us, who is not fighty. You decide to play along. Raising your arms slowly, you weigh your next words carefully. You're pretty sure a bullet to the back won't kill you. That doesn't sound too pleasant either. He probably would go with a joke. It would either be, let's not do anything rash, or how about we talk like civilized kindred. I think nothing rash. Easy now. Let's not do anything rash. That's good advice, kid. I suggest you take it. Any way you want to play this, I'm all in. So what'll it be? The easy way or the hard way? Easy. Let's go with easy. I'm here to talk. So I was gone for a few minutes, and why did you pick the Nozzy? I thought you said it didn't fit. It doesn't fit with the character, but he'd at least go to see all of them before deciding who to focus on. So that's why I'm going to all of them and see which one fits, which ones fit. Good call. In a strange interplay of light and shadow, the stranger reappears behind his desk. Seeing him in his full, for a bit lack of a better word, glory, you can't help but smirk. This is the dreaded Nosferatu. The way Sophie described them, you were expecting some grotesque monstrosity. But this guy, the clothes, the swagger, the hard-boiled detective routine, it all comes across as a bad joke. Still, when it comes to his appearance, his lineage is undeniable. From 30 feet away, he could probably pass for a bum with a nasty skin condition. From 5 feet away, he looks like something made to be seen from 30 feet away. He leans back in his chair, casually pointing his gun at you. So, what brings you to my humble office? Are you? Yeah, again, he probably would say he's looking for a Nosferatu, because I don't think any Toreador in the history of ever has gone looking for a Nosferatu. So, you the one they call D'Angelo? That's my name, kid. Don't wear it out. My friends call me Jin, so you best stick to D'Angelo for the time being. Now, I suggest you tell me what this is about. Otherwise, I kindly ask you to get the fuck out of my office. I know who you work for. I can see why Kadir keeps you. Yeah, he'd try and give a compliment, I think. Charming. I can see why Kadir keeps you around. His expression sours. Not a name you want to casually toss around, kid. But hey, I get it. You're not some random schmuck who wandered in here off the street. So let's get down to the nitty-gritty. Who I work for is less important. What I'm working on, however... I know, I'm here to help. The Red Hook murders. I know, I want to help you catch the killer. His moldy lips twist into a smile. Do you now? D'Angelo lowers his shades. For a few seconds, he sits motionless with his eyes fixed on yours. Suddenly, he raises his gun, almost making you flinch. Almost. Then, he twirls it into his shoulder holster in a flashy display that definitely looks like it was practiced. A lot. In front of a mirror. You see the Nosferatu's lips move, but the quiet mumbling clearly isn't meant for your ears. Listening in, you're able to catch snippets of his monologue. Sure, they seem to care. What was the endgame? What was their angle? Everybody's got one. Even if they pretend like they don't. Especially then. What the hell? Maybe this town finally got to me. He pauses, sticks a fresh cigar between his crooked teeth. Maybe a good leap of faith is just what the doctor ordered. I will offer him a light. As he reaches into his pocket, you flash a lit lighter before his eyes. Or maybe you could use a healthy dose of unhealthy. For a split second, he gives you a puzzled look. Then he leans over to your lighter, puffing on the cig as it catches fire. A wry smile comes back to his lips. I like you, kid. You might look like a used car salesman, but there's just something about you. Tell you what, I was just about to head back to the crime scene, take a look around, refresh my notes. You can tag along if you want to. I could use an assistant. Someone to take notes and make wild assumptions for me to shoot down. Who knows, if you're any good, I might consider making this a long-term arrangement. You won't regret it. Guess we'll find out. Just one more thing. You still got me at a disadvantage here. Seems like you've done some digging on me, but with you, I've barely scratched the surface. You catch my drift? So answer me this. Who was it that sent you into my neck of the woods? Or, in layman's terms, who do you work for? I think he'd be proud to work for Sophie, because in his eyes, she's important. Sophie Langley. For the first time since you got here, the Nosferatu adopts a look of genuine surprise. His eyes wander for a moment, finally giving way to a crooked smile. So, you're the one, huh? The fledgling Toreador dame spared? Yeah, that would make sense. Don't think she'd appreciate you throwing her name around. Thanks for being upfront, kid. One blink is enough for you to miss D'Angelo vanishing from his chair. Just when you're about to look around, he reappears right next to you. Up close, his smile is even more unnerving. Alright, moonlight's burning. Let's get cracking. Wait. No, I don't have any knuckles to click. I don't have any knuckles to crack. Shame. With a certain fascination, you watch D'Angelo stumble his way across West Brooklyn. Oddly animated, incessantly scratching his face and neck, stopping every once in a while for a bout of mumbling narration. he is most certainly a sight to behold. Still, he seems to be getting around okay, and you take particular note of the fact that he seems to be choosing the darker, less frequented streets. There is definitely a method to his madness. Eventually, your leprous guide takes a sudden turn off Van Brunt Street and into a particularly dingy alleyway. The torn pieces of yellow police tape are a dead giveaway. This has to be the place. Well, here we are. Time for you to earn your stripes. This is where they found him. Drained dry, not a drop of blood in him. And before you ask, no, I didn't get to see the body. So, I don't know if there were any bite marks. So, what can you tell me? You take a moment to examine the crime scene. Judging by the chalk outline on the pavement, the man was killed recently. Curiously, there doesn't appear to be a trace of blood or viscera, and you know the city's cleanup crew isn't that fast or that thorough. Looking up, you notice a spray-painted sign on the wall. It reads, "The Blood Speaks," in big, crooked letters. You look to D'Angelo. The Nosferatu gives you an expecting look. I'd say the graffiti is what he'd hone in on, just because artiste and whatnot. You point at the spray-painted sign. That looks like a clue. Sure, kid. Might as well start with the elephant in the room. What do you think it means? You give the sign a good hard look. It's no Rembrandt. The writing is jagged, clearly done in a hurry. Seems desperate. And I think he'd hone in on that because of his whole, past and everything. It seems desperate. My thoughts exactly. It's as if someone wanted to get a message across, but was too scared to stick around and write the whole damn book. So, we got the abridged version. And then there's the blood, or lack thereof. And given that the murder was committed right here, and the victim didn't make a sound, we can therefore conclude that the killer is a kindred. The killer was a kindred. Bingo! Only a kindred could drain a human this quickly, this quietly. Tell me, if you had to guess, which clan would you say our killer belongs to? Does he know anything about Thin Bloods? He doesn't. Our character doesn't know anything about Thin Bloods, so he wouldn't guess Thin Bloods. He might guess Tremere because of the blood sorcery. He doesn't know enough to guess anything else. Wait, aren't the Tremere known as blood sorcerers? This was probably some fucked up ritual of theirs. The Warlocks do tend to get creepy at times, but they're not exactly the Manson family. It's just not their style. I might be jumping to conclusions, but my money's on the Thin Bloods. He pauses, spits out the mangled remains of a cigar. Shit. Looks like we're gonna have to pay Larson a visit. Who? Who's Larson? Geez, you really are new at this, ain't ya? Larson, as in Robert Larson, the Thin Blood Primogen? Not sure if he knows who the killer is, but he could probably make an educated guess. In any case, we'd be doing him a favor. If it turns out one of his is violating the Masquerade, it would put him in a hell of an awkward position. And I mean shitting upside down awkward. It's the kind of weakness the other Primogen would love to exploit. His position in the council is bad as it is. He pauses for a moment and mumbles to himself, but it's too quiet for you to make out. Finally, he lights up a fresh cigar. He takes a puff and lets the smoke escape through his crooked smile. Alright, kid, let's get this over with. Compared to the industrial ugliness of Red Hook, Sterling Place is quite the change of scenery. The heavily gentrified and pleasantly dull residential area emanates the sort of peaceful apathy that rich hipsters scoff at and blue-collar workers dream of. All of a sudden, the Nosferatu stops. It almost seems like he was taking a deep breath, steeling himself for things to come. This is the place. With that, he points to a surprisingly nice-looking two-story house. The place is almost completely dark. Almost. You notice a dim light shining through the curtains of an upper-story window. It's probably safe to assume that the head of the family is working late, especially if the head of the family happens to be a vampire. Okay, kid, we gotta be gentle about this. I'm talking velvet gloves, soft cushions, you rang, my lord, gentle. We need to get Larson out of here without making a fuss or letting his family see us. If we blow this, he'll shut down like a speakeasy on raid night. Trust me, I know. Sounds like you two have some history. Sounds about right, but that's a story for another time. Right now, let's stick to why we're here. Tell you what, how about you take the lead on this one? I'm curious to see how you handle it. You take a step back and look around the area. The lit up window seems like a safe bet. Now it's just a matter of getting Larson's attention. His, and no one else's. As you're trying to come up with a viable strategy, you're suddenly startled by a loud noise. It takes you a second to identify the sound as a dog's barking. It doesn't take you long to figure out where it came from, as a bearded man leading a Rottweiler on a leash comes into view. We probably don't want to feed here, that would be a bad idea. We should throw a small rock at the window. Ringing the doorbell sounds like a very bad idea. You kneel down and pick a rock off the lawn, one small enough to not break glass, but big enough to get someone's attention. Deftly, you chuck the rock at the window. It bounces off the glass with a quiet but audible thunk. Moments pass in silence, making you think no one got your message. Just as you start to look for another rock, you hear the window slide open. A very unassuming and slightly unshaven man in a turtleneck appears at the window. As soon as he notices you, his expression sours, like he just smelled something rotten. He addresses your Nosferatu partner in what could only be described as a very loud, very angry whisper. Get the fuck off my lawn, D'Angelo. You know goddamn better show your ugly mug around here. You glance over to D'Angelo. He looks somewhat embarrassed, scratching the back of his neck, clearly trying to find the right angle to play this. Yeah. We wouldn't have bothered you if this wasn't important. Excuse me? Who the fuck are you anyway? Ah, screw it. Stay where you are. You wait out in the lawn, listening to Larson quietly making his way downstairs. Before long, he appears on the porch, locking the front door behind him. He motions at you... Pardon me. He motions at you to follow him off to the side of the house. There, he turns to you. What do you want? It's about the Red Hook murders. We think one of yours is responsible. One of yours is responsible. Bullshit. Dustborn got enough trouble just staying alive out here. What could possibly make them openly violate the Masquerade? Desperation. The killer's been leaving messages. Whoever they are, I think they know something. Something they can't share with just anyone. I know it seems far-fetched, but it's the only way this puzzle fits together. Nah, I don't buy it. You're reaching, trying to find a scapegoat, getting your boss's good graces. Word gets around, D'Angelo. You think I don't know who you're working for? Then help us clear your name. Everything. I've been the thorn in the council's side for a while now. This is just an excuse. This is just the excuse they need to get rid of me. What if it turns out one of yours did it, and you sat on your hands to protect him? You think the council won't jump on that? He looks off into the darkness, pondering his options. He lets out a heavy sigh. Look, I'll ask around. Consult my sources. If it turns out one of my own is responsible, they will face justice. In the meantime, keep your deductions to yourself. I have enough trouble as it is. Deal. Good. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to get back to my family. And with that, Larson retreats to the elusive safety of his home. You decide it's best to move along. You walk a couple of blocks in utter silence. Even D'Angelo's mumbling seems to have taken a back seat. Oddly enough, you find his newfound reticence somewhat unnerving. Finally, the Nosferatu stops and turns towards you. Hell of a night. I don't know about you, kid, but I sure could use a drink. Something warm, in a tall, sweaty glass. But first, let me tally your score. Let's see now. You did make a good first impression. I like someone who can talk themselves out of a tight spot. Talking's cheap. Bullets, not so much. You held your own at the crime scene. Nothing I hadn't figured out on my own, but hey, we can't all be professionals. Finally, when the situation called for subtlety, you managed to avoid unwanted attention. Discretion is what separates a private dick from just any old dick. All in all, you did fine. Not fine, but not bad for your first case. Don't let it get to your head. I'll be in touch. Let you know if I hear from Larson. Be ready to meet me at the office. He starts to walk away, but suddenly stops and turns back toward you. And bring a notepad. Every good assistant should have one. Let's take a rest, because I'm pretty sure, yeah, says you need to rest. Yeah, okay, we can't see anyone else. This night... And let's break for video here.